Before the firing squad, there was the uprising. Before the martyrdom, the chaos. This painting, the 2nd of May 1808, is often overshadowed by its more famous counterpart, the 3rd of May. Both were created by Francisco Goya in 1814. Together, they portray two fateful days in Spanish history, one of spontaneous rebellion, the other of merciless repression. While the grim execution scene is remembered by many, few have even seen this wild, bloody street battle. Its abstract, distorted form makes it harder to read and easier to forget, but it still offers a compelling message and a real artistic weight. Behind the blur of sabers and smoke lies a powerful work of art in its own right. The canvas is a whirlwind of violence. No clear center, no calm, just a city tearing itself apart. But what exactly are we looking at? The 2nd of May 1808 captures the first spark of Spanish uprising against the French occupation during the Napoleonic Wars. Goya doesn't give us a heroic composition or a single focal point, he gives us a battlefield in miniature. Over 24 figures clash in brutal close-quarters combat. Shots ring out, blades strike, smoke curls into the air. There's no safe space in the painting. Nearly every character is under immediate threat. Their bodies packed so tightly that the viewer's eye has no choice but to follow the turmoil, face to face, wound to wound. The painting feels alive, almost animated by its own violence. One detail stands immediately out: the French cavalry units wearing turbans and wielding curved scimitars. These are the Mamluks, warriors recruited during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign and absorbed into the French army in 1801. In Madrid, they served under Marshal Murat and were sent into the streets to crush the rebellion. This is why the painting is sometimes called the Charge of the Mamluks. But they were only a small part of the French forces at that day. Goya's choice to emphasize these particular troops wasn't just visual, it was political. To Spanish eyes, the presence of Islamic horsemen in their capital carried a powerful, unsettling echo. More than 3 centuries earlier, the Reconquista had ended with the fall of Granada in 1492, marking the end of centuries of Muslim rule on the Iberian Peninsula. Now, in 1808, devout Catholic citizens saw Muslim cavalry once again charging through their streets. Goya seized that symbolism. By placing the Mamluks at the heart of the painting's violence, he linked the uprising to a deeper national narrative, the enduring Spanish spirit of resistance. At the very center of the image is a Mamluk with bright red pants, falling headfirst from his horse. His torso hangs down, blood flows from his body, and his eyes are already closed. His attacker appears to be repeatedly stabbing him, still in the motion of attacking an already lifeless victim. Ironically, had the Mamluk remained mounted, he would have been the dominant figure in the composition. His massive grey horse, now stabbed and rearing with only his hind legs on the ground, strikes a pose like the levade, an elegant stance often seen in glorifying equestrian portraits. But here it becomes a grim parody. The dignity of this pose is undercut by the reality of the violence and inevitable death. All the symbols of glory are inverted. The rest of the Mamluks meet a similar fate. One in the background is falling after being struck from the front, another is grabbed from behind and tries to fight back with his dagger, while the only rider not yet under attack seems to be rushing in to help. Together, they tell a story of failure, a visual chain of collapse, from a mounted warrior in motion to one under assault to another about to fall, and finally to the lifeless body in the foreground. Not all the horsemen here are Mamluks though. On the right side, Goya shows a French dragoon, a reminder of their key role in Napoleon's campaign in Spain. In Northern and Eastern Europe, Napoleon had formed dragoon regiments as heavy cavalry. However, in Spain, they were used as light cavalry, fast, mobile, and focused on operations against guerrilla fighters. These units were vital in the attempt to suppress the Spanish resistance, but ultimately they had limited success. As much as they are able, all the French horsemen seem to charging out of the scene to the right, while the insurgents press forward from the left, emerging from the depth of the square. Although the mounted warriors appear more inclined to flee, looking back as they retreat, this is not a scene of pure victory for the Spaniards. Corpses are seen on both sides, with French soldiers and Spanish rioters alike lying on the ground in pools of blood. It's known that the architecture does not correspond to a precise location in Madrid. It is likely near the Puerta del Sol, where historically the Mamluks were engaged in heavy fighting. In the far background we possibly see the Basilica of San Francisco el Grande. However, the space is not truly measurable, and the way the surrounding objects are structured, the painting rejects any documentary character. The buildings and background act more like abstract elements, closing in the available space to create a claustrophobic feeling. Goya painted the 2nd of May in 1814 after the end of the Peninsular War. His stated aim was, in its own words, to perpetuate with the brush the most notable and heroic actions of our glorious insurrection against the tyrant of Europe. But whether the result fulfilled that goal is still debated. Royalist critics found the scene too raw, too violent, insufficiently heroic to properly honor Spain's resistance. The tension may reflect Goya's own internal conflict. As court painter, he was immediately tied to the monarchy, but he also sympathized with certain Enlightenment ideas brought by the French and hoped Napoleon's reforms would modernize Spain. When those hopes collapsed, Goya offered his service to the royal family once more. Although accepted, he struggled to regain their trust, as doubts about his political loyalty persisted. The 2nd of May was meant to affirm Goya's patriotic credentials, but in execution it does something deeper. Rather than glorify war, it strips it bare. There's no heroes or saviors to admire, only bloodshed and confusion. In that tension between purpose and portrayal lies the brilliance of this unorthodox painting, one that makes you feel uneasy and restless, as you were part of a real, unromanticized battle.